So I went to the farmer's market on Saturday. It's open from like 8 to noon here locally in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And there's this one lady, real nice lady, that has all this produce. And it's beautiful. I mean, she does a good job of displaying it, and it's well done. And lately she's added in, for about the past month, another farm does grass-fed beef and lamb and different things. And I'm like, okay, wow, I can buy from her now because I'm mostly carnivore, and I'm about to start this experiment doing all carnivore for 100 days. And so I've been stocking up from her lately. And so Saturday when I went, I said, how much ground beef do you have? I'll buy it all. And she said,
Yes.
I have 1 pound this week. And so she sold it to me, and she's like, what are you doing with all this meat? I said, oh, and I tell her about my experiment. And you should have seen the look on her face of like, there's no vegetables in there. Okay, and she said, don't you need those? And I gave her a little bit of education about the micronutrients and blah blah blah. And she's like, she was just dumbfounded. It was like I had two heads on my body, and she just didn't know what to do with that. And I said, well, actually, I'm trying to avoid all the anti-nutrients and all of these foods that you sell over here. And she didn't have any idea what I was talking about.
No, in school, I mean, the only one I may have heard about in school was soy. And that was if it wasn't like fermented enough, they kind of just, it was like a real quick little thing. But other than that, it was plants, 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 and meat's killing you, and it was like I said, I fell for it. A lot of us kind of fell for it, but then in reality, I don't think a lot of us even followed it. I mean, a lot of my classmates were bodybuilders, they had to eat a lot of protein, so they just kind of went along with it.
Well, they're pushing this obnoxious plant-based burger movement, the whole Beyond Meat and Impossible Burgers. I'm like, yeah, it's beyond something, and it's definitely impossible because it ain't going in this mouth.
No, thank you.
I actually did try a couple of years ago on camera, 2.5 years ago, the Beyond Meat burger, because I said, okay, I want to take one for the team. I want to see what all the hullabaloo is about. I didn't go to Burger King and get the Impossible Whopper. I actually wanted to cook this myself. And I'm glad I did, because taking it out, it was the most putrid smelling. Oh my God. I was just like, ugh. And you look at the ingredients, it's like 29 ingredients, and they had to put beet juice in there to mimic the blood look, and coconut oil to kind of give it the juiciness. And it actually did taste decent for what it was. It was a lot better than I expected, the smoke flavor they put in there. But I'm like, people think that is healthy, 29 ingredients, and then a beef burger has beef. That's it. And it's like, how can we say something with poly ingredients is better than something with one ingredient? Like we've been talking in recent years, culturally, the less ingredients in something, the better. I remember, what was it, Michael Pollan? Oh, let's keep it 5 ingredients or less. Well, beef is 1 ingredient. That fits the model, Michael Pollan, and yet he says eat food, mostly plants. And I'm going, no, eat meat as much as you want until you're satiated, and then do it again when you're hungry. Like that's not hard.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's, I get where they're coming from, where it seems like, oh, if I eat only plants, like, yeah, they just grow in the garden. However, most of us aren't, getting them that way. They're still coming from California or Mexico or, abroad. And yeah, that's plant-based, but is that good for the environment? I would argue no. All that travel time and the inputs that have to go into that's not good for you. But beef, you can get a lot of animal products pretty local. That's something I've learned around here. I've gone on Craigslist or Facebook Market, and you can find people selling, pounds or half a cow.
Oh, there's an even better website for people anywhere. So if you're listening or watching this, you guys, eatwild.com. Literally, you put in your state, and it gives you a whole list of local farmers to you. Now, some people I've sent to that list, Jaci, and they're like, the closest one's 50 miles away. I'm like, that's local enough. Go get it.
Yeah.
Like, go and get it, because it's going to be better for you than God knows what is at Walmart, grocery store, Sam's Club, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you buy from those places, don't think I'm coming down on you, but if you can, try to support the local farmers because they're the ones doing what we're talking about here today. Regenerative farming, sustainable food, it's local. All of those things are important. So why don't we start there as we shift the conversation to what we're talking about here? Why is local so important?
Yes, well, for many reasons. I mean, I think the biggest one with this last year, with a lot of businesses struggling with everything going on, is just supporting your local economy. We have to spend our money. We have to buy food. Now, who are you going to support? Are you going to support some farmers abroad or even, across the country in California? Or do you want to give it to your neighbors? I think that's the biggest thing that's crossed my mind, is especially when I came back from being vegan to eating meat, was that I wanted to support, good farmers that were doing it right. And ideally that were local. And it seemed kind of daunting at first when you don't know where to get that stuff from. You're just used to going to Walmart or, whichever grocery store, but then you start looking and there are more options out there.
Yes. And you can't even in the stores. I know you mentioned earlier, organic caught your attention initially, which is what into this, but even organic means nothing in store. Like I saw in Costco a couple months ago, organic gummy bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, hey, organic yellow dye, organic blue dye, organic sugar, organic. And I'm like, let's just put some label in front of the crap ingredient.
Yep.
And
yeah, organics become a little tainted.
and then it suddenly takes away that it's crap. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the labeling of things like that. Even keto has gotten that way in the stores. You can't really trust stuff that says keto on it. I'm always like side-eyeing the keto stuff. I'm like, okay, let's see what that, oh crap, no. First thing is whole wheat flour. I'm just like, crazy.
Right, just a bunch of fiber and organic vegetable oil or some kind of one. Oh gosh.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you one of the coolest things I did to make my food local. I started about 9 years ago. I got backyard chickens. And people are intimidated by that, Jaci. They don't think they can take care of them. Look, once you get the setup and everything kind of ready to go and you kind of get used to it, it's maybe 10 to 15 minutes of my day dealing with, I now have 13 of them. I had as many as 35 at one point, but I'm down to 13 now. And so I love it. I think having chickens is a great kind of starter kit for people looking to go local, along with supporting your local farmers. But man, it's just every time I look at my chickens, I go, I want some ducks now. Now I want some goats. Now I want some. I wish I could have a cow back there. It just gives you that bug. Do you feel the same way? I know you just started kind of your own regenerative farm. Do you feel like a little bit, make you want a little more, a little more, a little more, kind of cascaded?
Yeah, well, I probably have about 20 chickens, 15 ducks,
Yep.
17 sheep,
Yep.
couple pigs, some guineas, one turkey. So yeah, as soon as I got some animals and I bought 9 acres, it was game on for me. Whatever extra money I wanted to invest in the land and the animals to take care of it.
Yes, I have a 3/4 corner lot in the city, so it's like I'm nigh out in the boondocks. If I was out in the boonies and I had 9 acres, oh yeah, I'd be doing all of that, and I'd be rotating, doing all the Joel Salatin kind of style of regenerative farming. Do you look up to him as kind of a mentor in this way?
Yes, for sure. Joel Salatin. Who's the other guy from? I know Polyface Farms.
Yeah, that's Joel.
That's Joel Salatin. There's someone else. It's slipping my brain right now. But Diana Rogers.
Yeah, Diana Rogers is a good one in Massachusetts. Alan Savory did a really nice job on a TED Talk on YouTube. Did you see that one?
I haven't seen that one yet. Alan Savory, yeah.
Follow the one that put on my radar screen that where there is like barren land, like where crops won't even grow or anything, just put cows on them. So as soon as the ruminants get on there, within 3 months, stuff is growing. And within a year, it's like flush with green grass. It's amazing the power of animals to shift the landscape.
Exactly. I mean, I remember in probably 3rd or 4th grade, they talked about, diversity. You know, they showed the desert and it didn't have a lot of animals, and then they showed the forest, like the rainforest, and we knew at, you know, in elementary school that more animals was better. So that's what's confused me about the movement now of like, no animals, no animals, no animals. It's like, well, wait, those are good. Like, why would we want less animals?
Yeah, the whole animal rights thing. I mean, I respect people's choices if you don't want to kill animals. But like, it's kind of ironic though, because in order to grow plants, you got to kill an animal to grow plants. Like that, this is kind of the dirty little secret uh, of how this works. I'm just rewatching last night Idiocracy, movie Idiocracy, and it just like underscored how just incremental lack of knowledge, ignorance, not in the ugly way, but true, I don't know, ignorance of how things work is ruining us. Like people, oh, well, you need to care for animals, so eat plants. And I'm going, you do know that plant had to come because an animal died to help fertilize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right? And they're like, no, they had no idea.
Yeah, there's a really big disconnect between where our food comes from. You know, even growing up myself, I mean, it came from the store. You know, we really didn't go to a farmer's market or anything like that. We didn't really have a garden. We just bought things in a box, heated them up in the microwave or the stove, and that was, you know, the bulk of our food, or you went through a drive-through. But yeah, nobody thinks about the plant, the soybean, you know, that soy protein that, you know, killed all those acres, was sprayed with glyphosate,
Yeah.
killed biodiversity, you know, it's hurting the water. It's
And
huge.
pesticides and herbicides. There's so many things that have to die all at the holy altar of eat plant-based.
Yeah.
Are you tired of playing the mask game? Me too. That's why I wanted to tell you about the Unmask. This is a breathable, completely breathable. It covers, you can't even see that it's breathable, but it's breathable. Whether you're going on a plane, having to go into a store and wearing this thing, playthemaskgame.com is how you can get this mask. They come in all kinds of colors and everything. In fact, right there, you can see right through it what it is, but when you're wearing it, it does not look like it's anything different, but it's breathable, baby. Playthemaskgame.com.
Exactly. Yeah, plant-based is not as good for the environment as I educate anyone that brings that up with me, and I tell from personal experience, you know, I was like, I tried it. I said, hey, this is where it falls short and why it probably won't work long-term for a majority of people.
Yeah, I remember talking to Dr. Bill Cole. I used to do a podcast with him called Keto Talk, and on there, he wrote a book called Ketotarian, mostly plant-based keto. And I said, Will, is it possible for someone to eat solely plant-based and get all of the amino acids? Because in animal foods, you get the complete amino acid profile in every animal food. They're all in there, which should tell you something, people. But in plants, you get a little bit in this one, a little bit in that one, a little bit in this one. I said, is it possible? He said, it's technically possible, but you would have to eat such a diversified list of plants, and daily you would have to do it always, those same kind of diversified plants, and he says, and a lot of them to match what you would get from animal food, which to me, if that doesn't like make your head start to spin of, if it's that hard, why am I doing this? Which is why I love his approach is add eggs, add fish if you're going to do the mostly plant-based. That's an okay way to do it if that's what you choose to do. I do the opposite. I do hardly any plants and mostly all animal foods.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm eating any plants that I grow from my garden.
Yes.
Or I find at a local farmer's market if they're selling peaches that grew up the road. Sure, I'll buy some of those.
Oh, I saw some blackberries the other day at the farmer's market. I was so tempted, but I'm like, I'm starting this challenge where it's just animal on Wednesday. I couldn't eat all those blueberries before Wednesday, so I turned it down, but they looked really good.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and I think, you know, like I really love the work of Weston Price. That was someone I did not hear about until after school at all. You know, and that work really opened my eyes to like, whoa, wait a minute, we should be eating local, seasonal, you know, as much as possible, and what did he find? There was no vegan society. There was no vegan culture. There was animal products in a lot of them.